Okay, we're going to start out with a small data set with two variables, an x variable and a y variable. Now you'll notice there's just two scores for each of the variables, so I'm keeping it very simple just to walk through the order of operations with you. So let's just assume we have a request for the sum of x squared. Okay, now when we consider the order of operations, exponents comes before addition. And if you look, this is addition. And here we have the exponent right here. Okay? So we're going to want to follow through using the exponent first. So we're going to isolate this and we're going to work on this first. Okay? This is key. So when we have x squared there, is what it's stating is take every x score and square it. So when we look at these, here's our x values. We're going to take 2, we're going to square it, and we're going to take 3, and we're going to square it. So we have 4, and we have 9. Now we've dealt with our exponents. Now we can actually deal with our addition, right? And take care of the second portion. And we have 4 plus 9, right? So our final answer should equal 13. It's just a matter of using those order of operations. Exponents comes before addition. So let's erase this and we'll see what we can come up with next. Okay? So we have that sum of x squared. But what happens if we put parentheses around that? So now we have sum of x parentheses squared. It kind of looks similar, but it is not. We have to make sure that we're dealing with what's in the parentheses first. So therefore, we have the sum of x within parentheses. Ignore everything else. We need to deal with this first, the sum of x. So if we look at x values, it ends up being 2 plus 3, and that's 5. Now we can deal with our exponent. That's what happens next. So we basically plug this 5 in to those parentheses. So we have 5 parentheses squared. Our final answer is 25. Again, make sure that you're dealing with what's in parentheses first, and because this is addition, it's within the parentheses, we're going to add the numbers before we work on our exponents. Let's try something a little bit tougher. Let's see. Erasing here. Okay, we're going to try our y value, and I threw in a negative in there so that it could give you some practice on how to deal with negatives. But let's say we have the sum of y minus 1 squared. Okay, now we have basically 3 operations that we're doing. We have subtraction in these parentheses, we have an exponent right here, and we have addition right here. We're going to go in the order of operations. So parentheses comes before exponents. So we're going to take every y value and subtract 1 from it. So this has to be done first. And then we can do our exponent. And last, we will do add. So first and foremost, we're going to do y minus 1. So for every y value, we're going to subtract 1. So we have 0 minus 1. We know that equals negative 1. And then we have negative 3 minus 1. Now, remember, when you have a negative, it basically turns into a positive, adding 2 negatives together. So we end up with negative 4. So now we have completed our parentheses portion of this. We need to go to the second step and deal with exponents. So we're going to take each of those answers that we got in the parentheses and square them. So we're just going to basically take our -1 and square it, and our -2 or -4 and square it. So -1 squared equals 1, -4 squared equals 16, right? Remember, if you enter this into your calculator, maybe in the wrong way, it might come out as a -16 or a -1. It shouldn't. If you're coming up with that, it's just the way that you're putting it in the calculator. So you can just go ahead and drop that negative and put 4 squared in there. Or if you're having to use your calculator. This happens quite frequently. Calculators will hold that negative, and it shouldn't be. If you're squaring a number, it is a negative. So now we have dealt with this second operation, the exponent. So now we need to move on to here, our addition. So we end up with 1 plus 16, right? Because that's addition. I'm just going to basically add those two. So our final answer is 17. It's as simple as that. Again, order of operations is very important. This is going to continue over the entire semester dealing with this order of operations. So remember, parentheses comes first, then you have any exponents. So you have your parentheses right here. You're going to do whatever is within those parentheses first. The next step is you're going to deal with any exponents outside of the parentheses. And last but not least, you're going to deal with any addition or subtraction outside of those parentheses in this case. So again, those order of operations. Use whatever technique you need to remember those order of operations. Now you try it with your hybrid order of operations activity and see how you do.